most outlandish pick for Virtus.Pro, but glad to see they're sticking to their guns here. And can't be too surprised to see Rubik picked up by CDEC. That's one of their go-to supports, alongside the Witch Doctor, as you were talking about. So, final picks and bans coming out. I have to say, I like this Virtus.Pro draft. It's just very well-rounded, fits very much into their style. I look at all four of these heroes and go, these are comfort picks. Yeah. Not that CDEC don't have comfort picks themselves, but VP should be pretty happy with these four heroes.
Crystal Maiden's a hero that's been seeing pretty big win rates in TI so far. She may even be undefeated still. She was as of this morning, I believe. But really nice synergy with Earthshaker Shadow Fiend. Not so much Silencer. Silencer is usually pretty darn full on mana, but yeah. We've seen a lot of offlane Earthshakers and sometimes delaying Arcane Boots or Soul Ring, or maybe they go Bottle, which is a little bit more greedy in terms of mana. But Crystal Maiden's going to solve a lot of those problems, so it should increase her team's farming potential, not to mention her ability to roam around and gank. Very good against Queen of Pain before Queen gets BKB. If Queen ever blinks offensively, that is the best Frostbite target ever, because you know her armor is medium at best and can very easily die to right clicks. So yeah. It's definitely a big threat for Queen, and also good against Darkseer. If he's about to surge away, give him the Frostbite, stop him from moving, and give your team some setup. Only downside is Bounty Hunter can very easily stop her from getting levels and farm in the jungle in the first couple levels, so you may see Bounty pressure her there. Yeah. But if she can get away with level 2, then she can function as a totally normal support, just with that extra boost of mana and that early level. Yeah, I really like her alongside the Shadow Fiend. We've seen that Yule's Scepter build really fall off for SF. It seems like BKB, Mech, or S and Y are the core items that they go for now. And well, that extra mana regen definitely makes things easier for the Shadow Fiend to farm out the jungle and spam those raises in lane. Yeah, I think people just kind of started realizing that you run out of item slots fast, and then you're not really much of a carry late game, and people stopped getting one-shot by it stupidly. They just, you know, once you understand, oh, I can be one-shot if he's within like 300 units of me and has the ability to walk in range, you know, it's just, once you stop giving him that farm advantage there, then it starts becoming a slightly less useful item. So, yeah, definitely. BKB is just in most cases better. If you're in trouble, just pop the BKB. Why bother even using yourself, you know? Yeah, it's also a slightly different playstyle now than it was. The team fighting is much more prevalent than it was when that build really came to popularity. But final picks and bans on the horizon here, Purge. Spirit Breaker and TA, the final two taken out of the pool. CDEC will pick Viper for their last, and this is a CDEC classic. They have more games played on Viper than any other team in the world on this patch by almost a factor of 2, which is kind of insane. Many. That's a lot of Viper. And I believe I just saw Stat Viper is also undefeated at TI thus far, I think with only 4 games played. Someone mentioned that to me earlier. And really? Undefeated Viper. All right. I feel like I keep seeing Vipers and it's going well. Like they're kind of winning, but the Vipers are doing super well. I know Secret's played it a few times. That's the strength of the hero, though. You know, you take damage and you reflect it, and maybe you're not going to snowball super hard, but you've got the mech there for your team, and you'll be the focus. And he's a little weak versus Silencer, I'd argue, because Silencer has large components of pure damage cut through his armor, his corrosive skin, that is. But with that said, Shadow Fiend and Silencer are the only DPS right now, and both of them can potentially be kited. So I think this means, though, we'll see the safe lane Queen of Pain. They more often than not put the Viper mid, good against the Shadow Fiend to try and delay some of his farm that he'll inevitably get. Does make them a little bit light on carry power, though. Once you get past that 30-40 minute mark, I think CDEC will definitely be bringing the fight to Virtus.Pro, and, well, depending on what this final pick is from VP, I think the onus will be on them to put a lot of pressure on and not let them get too much farm. Yeah, what is the solution? Do you pick more carry potential than CDEC and say, oh, we can hold this off, we'll delay it, it'll be fine, or do you say, oh, well, we're just going to pick really ungreedy, that way we know for sure that if you get ahead in the early game, we can win a team fight? I feel like they've got really good team fight right now. Silencer, Crystal Maiden, Earthshaker, Shadow Fiend. That's 4 really good team fight heroes right there. So, and they go for the Naga Sirens. So how do they lane this? It could be the off-lane Earthshaker, which seems fairly likely. Illidan picks up the Silencer. It'll be off-lane Earthshaker. He'll be farming, then Lil takes the Naga on the 4. So this is a really smart pick here. It gives them more team fight so they can stall against CDEC, but if this game ends up going late, they've certainly got the carry power. Lil will be able to find that greedy 4 farm and become a little bit scary if time allows. And it's another really good teamfight hero, so this means that even if VP gets a little bit behind, they can use things like Song to set up teamfights in a really good way. In terms of disables on CDEC, they're a bit weak. They've got, what, Shuriken Toss, Vacuum, and Rubik spells, not to mention maybe if Queen gets a Yule's, so, and she very likely will, due to the fact that there's the Silencer, so there's not too many ways for Crystal Maiden to get disabled, so I feel like VP's teamfight is just fantastic. Though, with that said, Lil played a Naga Siren game yesterday, and I don't think he performed very well. He did
remaining.
poorly on, and his skill build is a bit weird. He went for the max ensnare first. I've never seen any Naga do that, and I do think ensnare in some situations has some good value, but I don't really think this is maybe one of them. It's only particularly useful against maybe Bounty and Queen of Pain, I guess. So hopefully he plays a lot more like AUI did yesterday, where he goes for the max. He went for the max mirror image build. He went like 4-1-2, something like that, and transitioned into, after a Guardian Greaves, he got a Radiance, and at that point it's like, oh, you're a support, but you've got a Radiance, and now you have all these items that you can just farm right up. Yeah. And that was really cool to see. And I think Lil needs to play a little bit more like that, because yesterday he had bad impact on his Naga. Yeah, and Snare, one of those spells that's often regarded as a great value point, but I can't think of too many times I've seen it maxed out either. This is also a really good Rubik game. Always great for Rubik when he's up against an Earthshaker. You get rid of that cast point on the Fissure. That's one of the classics, but Song of the Siren, if you can ever manage to steal a global, which you shouldn't really be able to on paper, but you never know. There are some big spells here. Getting that CM ulti is another one that can turn fights on occasion. So yeah, definitely. And how many Rubiks have we seen get Aghanim Scepter? It's like every third game or something, the Rubik supports get Ags, and that's very rare. In the past, Rubik would never be able to farm that, but been seeing some Rubik players put out some amazing games and get that big item and get a lot of value out of it.
It does add a huge amount of potential to have a big impact. The cooldown reduction, the huge range, it's certainly powerful, but was always that luxury, like, oh, we kind of already won anyway. What can the Rubik get after he has all of his mobility tools? But let's introduce some players here. Purge. Radiant side, we've got Virtus.Pro, DK Phobos. He'll take the Earthshaker to the offlane. FNG, he'll be here on the Crystal Maiden. G, he's on the Shadow Fiend mid. No surprise there, as Illidan Storm Rage takes the Silencer to the safe lane. He'll be supported by Lil on the Naga Siren.
And on the Dire team, we've got XZ playing Darkseer on the offlane. The roaming support is going to be Garter playing Bounty Hunter. Shiki playing the Viper mid. Looks like Q is playing Rubik, looking to set up something mid, and the last player is the top lane, Aggressive, playing Queen of Pain.
And as you mentioned already, action mid, FNG, this could be a fast first blood, and it is. Garter draws it. They don't even need the Rubik to secure that kill. Seemed like FNG was just not quite ready for the Bounty Hunter to come in the way he did.
Ooh, nice play by both of those players, actually. As soon as the Sentry went down, he used the Tango to instantly kill the Sentry, but G was just as fast and also killed the other Sent. He was waiting for that. So they trade 1 for 1 there, and now their team has a Sentry. So I guess it's not a huge deal for Bounty because he doesn't need to spot things out, but you know, at least if they do put a ward down later, they won't have to worry about getting dewarded. So that was basically a nice read by CDEC there. They said, oh, well, the Crystal Maid's going to come try to pressure the Viper to give Shadow Fiend some last hits, then he can solo just fine. But instead, we're just going to show up with 3 heroes unexpectedly and get that fast first blood.
Yeah, I mean, it was the Bounty Hunter that actually got the first blood bonus gold, so that means early boots for him to go with this Orb of Venom, and his life gets a lot easier. He's already moving through the jungle, looking for FNG, who's going to be stacking, clearing some neutrals here. He's already killed 1, and he'll go for another Alpha Wolf here. So this is exactly what you were talking about. And with a start like this, Garter could be looking to have a pretty good early game.
Ooh, he pinged out. I think he thought he got a little bit less experience than he was supposed to, so he assumed that the bounty was to the right of him, which may or may not. I don't know if he was within range at the time, but it did limit his level 2 there. But he's got the level 2 now. Everybody's got the mana. This means more mana for Illidan. Illidan's going to actually have a really easy time against the Darkseer Iron Shell, I think, because he's a ranged hero. He's got bonus right-click damage on the single target that he wants to go to. So I think this should be okay for him, but Darkseer has picked up level 2 here.
Up top, Phobos maybe in a little bit of trouble here. Q rotates in, gets the telekinesis, they pull him back. Totem, not enough, and it's Aggressive that finds a kill in his safe lane. Meanwhile, down bottom, looks like a little skirmish breaking out. Lil getting poked by Garter, but Naga pretty tanky early on. She's got quite a bit of armor. I don't think Garter will be able to find this one. No, certainly not. He will retreat.
Quite a bit of damage here. Normally Lil has at least a stout shield, but this game he wasn't able to do that. Maybe because it was a Crystal Maiden or something. I'm not quite sure, but seems like he had to sacrifice a bit on his early items. So
yeah, it's peculiar. Great start for CDEC, though. 2-0 in the first couple minutes. So harass back the Darkseer. Illidan not getting the kind of farm that you would hope for out of his safe lane, though. Only 5 and 7 right now.
Wow, that's actually really poor. I'm quite surprised to see it so low. Obviously, dealing with Iron Shell is tough, and a lot of times you prioritize the denies over that. In some ways, that's honestly very good because you can delay a bottle or a soul ring, but Darkseer has been able to get 4 CS here. Really not that many last hits at all due to Illidan's denies, but you know, he still gets the item, and that means the pressure continues.
And Bounty Hunter looking for potential courier here, though it's past 3 minutes, so chances of sniping it not so high. He does have level 2, so he can harass a bit more effectively, and has 1 last sentry ward.
That first blood that they got on CDEC was actually so big though, because of the boots. If you look at how FNG's been playing, he's actually just been sitting behind mid the entire time, anticipating the bounty hunter coming, hoping that maybe they can get a kill that way. And it's partially that, but it's also because if he goes in the jungle and he gets found by a bounty hunter, he just dies. He can't get away from him, at least until he hits level 3. But that movement speed advantage that bounty has is so big.
Up top, Phobos again initiated on. This time aggressive, pretty low on mana. And Phobos will make the smart play to just TP home. Nice. No Janata, and he will make it out. Yeah, nice heads up play there.
That was really good. Pop the wand and give him the TP. So
very good. So how's this mid lane shaping up here? It looks like a fairly even farm fest. Shadow Fiend doing quite well though, especially given that they conceded that early first blood. He is the last hit leader at the moment. So good news for G. Living up to that mechanics hype that everyone's talking about.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow, G can get last hits as a Shadow Fiend. Like, lately, it just seems like Shadow Fiend has no problem getting last hits in the first couple waves.
Yeah.
It's like these players are getting so good now that even if they're slightly pressured, they still get all the last hits, and that's just incredible.
Especially against a hero like Viper, who's known as a lane dominator, who should be able to give a Shadow Fiend a run for his money on that front. Yeah. Very standard build from Shiki as well, just a 2-1-2 opener.
Yeah, and this basically says that I might get harassed, I might get zoned on, I'm expecting to take magic damage, and I want to reduce it and also make you run a little bit slower as a result. If you're just worried about last hitting, you'll put more points into your second skill, Nether Toxin. If you're really going to harass somebody a lot, you get more poison attacks. But this build is basically the average defensive build, like you said. So pretty safe for him.
And Phobos in the off lane, actually having an okay time. He was killed once, but all things considered, halfway through level 4, 10 last hits. Not a bad time.
I think the reason he has so much levels is because there was a lot of roaming coming out in that first kill. When both supports are mid, that allows, and especially if Earthshaker sees him, that means he's able to get at least level 2 by that by them being gone. So a little bit of experience there, a little bit of experience here, and now all of a sudden Rubik has to be slightly careful. He's able to actually harass and zone a bit.
Yeah, both teams with a lot of ward coverage here in the mid lane. Radiant in particular, they've got one at their Ancients and also one on their side of the river. They're really prioritizing G's farm and making sure he's got all the tools that he needs to have a good time in this mid lane. You see sentry wards just stacked on each other here, so he doesn't get caught unaware.
It is really important though, because I mean Silencer's gonna be absolutely fine bottom. At worst case, an Earthshaker dies top, and that's not a huge loss for them. They just absolutely need Shadow Fiend to do well this game, otherwise they're gonna get really far behind, because he has to be the one with the BKB in the mech. That way when CDEC does ultimately go for their high ground pushes or their tower pushes, that he's able to fight that without getting blown up. If he doesn't have the BKB, he's not going to do well at all in those fights. So it's very, very important that they cover him here. And also that FNG doesn't end up feeding his life to the bounty hunter, because that's really the counter to bounty. Don't let him snowball by killing you a bunch of times, and that's all you got to prevent. He might find bounty hunter here though.
Speak of the devil, FNG rotating through. It gets pinged out. He's got a couple of sentry wards here. Lil is on his way over, and Bounty just feeling that it's a bit too risky. He won't go for it. Big stack here for G. Looks like 3 stack, 4 stack. He'll be able to clear it out with some raises. So it'll be a big boost of farm going his way, and also secures his level 8. And
no bounty in the area either to sap the experience, so he gets all of that to himself. Yeah, he's going to be very happy. He's got 56 last hits at 6:45. What the heck?
That is
I wish I could consistently get that at 10 minutes, and this guy is just going crazy here. So Power Tread's coming out, and Aquila Treads, that is a really strong early game build. You could very easily solo kill this Viper if Viper gets out of position.
Yeah, and we talked about how CDEC will probably be the ones that need to turn up the aggression here as we start to move towards the mid game. And this Shadow Fiend is off to one hell of a start. Bottom lane, XZ initiated on 2 TP reactions, and Lil will TP out. On the other side of it, Aggressive goes for Illidan, he gets the kill. Sonic Wave enough to bring him down. And it's only a 1-0, but seems the TP rotations were worth it for the Dire side. Meanwhile, G farming up the neutrals. I thought Gardner was going for an initiation here, but there's actually a sentry ward down, and G won't reveal it. Sneaky play here, but I like it.
Yeah. There's no way he was going to go in that. He was just trying to split the experience, which he did. Unfortunately, it was just a small camp. Great TP gank, though, or TP... rotation, yeah, from the Queen of Pain. That was really, really well done. Just immediately went on Illidan. He always casts his spells right after his auto attack when you have that slight period of time where you're doing nothing. He comboed and timed that perfectly, and as a result, the Silencer died. And that was such a big kill because that was the enemy carry. So, really nice rotation there.
Lil wins the race to the haste rune here, the 8-minute mark up top, and Quap will grab herself a bounty down bottom. Queen of Pain getting all that safe lane farm. Number 2 on net worth, second only to the Shadow Fiend. Having a pretty good game so far. 2-0 and nearly 40 last hits. Looks like Lil will put this haste rune to good use, though. They may go for something onto Q. They are kind of lacking on damage here. Phobos is level 6, but They don't want to die with the tower for that. Especially with Co-op in the vicinity.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Earthshaker is pretty happy with this, though. That's a fast level 6 for an offlane. And on the other side of the map, is Darkseer doing equivalent? Yeah, he's about level 6 as well. He's got 27 CS versus the Earthshaker's 21. So I think both teams are going to be pretty happy with this. You know, Viper as well is doing fine. His items look terrible right now, but he's just doing the natural transition to the mech. So
yeah,
the next couple of fights become really important. And I don't even think VP is behind in this game at all, honestly. Like, they are losing in gold, but it's not bad by any means, even though you're seeing a big 0 on the board there. They're getting their levels on their important heroes. We have the Naga Siren pretty far behind, and FNG as well, only level 4. So it seems like the supports are doing a little bit better in CDEC, but not by such a big amount that it's going to be a one-sided team fight when they finally clash.
Yeah, I mean, Garter is getting some decent experience. He's level 4 on the Bounty Hunter, but like you were talking about, he hasn't really been able to find these pickoffs since the first blood. So VP's done a good job playing very conservative. It's come at the cost of their Crystal Maiden, getting a little extra farm and experience, but I think a worthy trade-off here is he just now gets level 5 and gets that 3rd point in the Arcane Aura. CDEC, they smoke up his 3. They're ready to fight. Viper, level 8, Viper Strike at the ready. Who will they find? It may be Lil, the level 4 Naga Siren.
Misclick.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Telekinesis on a creep.
Ooh, can they actually grab Darkseer? No. Ooh, very close.
Phobos. Whoa,
great
what a fissure.
Time to fight.
3. Can they actually take this fight, though? Yes, they can. Wall comes down for the Darkseer, but it's just not going to do enough. The Echo Slam
that Echo's so
breaks
good.
him low. Oh, Virtus.Pro just cleaning it up here.
Gosh.
3-0. The fissure that started it all off. The illusions from the wall will do a little bit of damage, but yeah, no one going down quite yet.
That was just a god tier fissure, man. I've never seen a fight like that. Was like, this is the rumble pit, like, and then the wall went up too. That was such a cool fight. It was like, oh, I had to like run into this little space.
It was like a cage match, you know?
It actually was the most clumped little cool fight I've ever seen, but that fissure blocked him off, and it looked like CDEC maybe could win it with the wall, but then he while they were distracted from the other side, that Echo Slam came in and just lowered all their HPs to about half, and then it was just an easy cleanup for VP there. They didn't even have global silence in that fight, and they just cleaned up. What a sick play from DK Phobos there. That was so well done.
So unfortunate for CDEC that Co-op couldn't get into that fight. Would have been the perfect little corridor for a Sonic Wave to connect on 3 or 4, but he was busy farming in the safe lane and not really an easy access point to get to that area of the map. So first smoke from CDEC, label it a disaster as Virtus.Pro. They take a gold swing back the other way, and now they're leading by about 1,000 net worth, and they get a huge experience gain out of it to boot.
And you see Illidan actually translate towards the top lane. So he's going to the top lane now to help contest the fact that Co-op wants to farm here. And though Co-op did rotate twice now for kills, she still needs a lot to get her Orchid done, and Silencer's totally cool to 1v1 against her because he can pop Global Silence, he can cast Last Word to do just a simple nuke, and as well, trading hits is always going to be in Silencer's favor, so by now farming up here, it's slightly more dangerous, but with his Vitality Booster, he can at very least get TP backups and possibly trade kills, even if things get bad, and this at the same time, this limits CDEC's farm, so I like the rotation here.
Yeah, definitely. And the success of that fight secures a well-timed mech on G, just shy of the 12-minute mark. Viper working on his, but still 100 short off the recipe. CDEC could be in some trouble here in the bottom lane. All 5 of Virtus.Pro are rotating through their jungle. Silencer will deny the Tier 1 tower, and Garter will stay back, fearful of detection, as he well should be.
That's perfect then. I mean, they didn't even farm the bot lane for a couple minutes there, and they still get the deny on top of that. That's half the gold that they would have had for that tower. That's no longer with them, so that's a super big swing there.
4 sentries coming out on the courier. Yeah, they're ready for this bounty hunter.
And that's one of the nice things about CM. Most supports are like, oh, I have to get gold in some way to be able to afford this. CM can just jungle constantly, and that's why he went for so many arcane auras, because he gets all this mana pool. He can very, very easily kill neutral after neutral, and every single camp he kills, it's approximately 1 sentry ward, maybe 2 sentry wards if it's a stack. So it's, you know, he's completely bankrolling himself, and it's going to eventually translate to some decent items. He's got good levels as well, so he's got to be happy.
VP beginning the siege. 5 heroes grouped up in the mid. They'll get the Tier 1 tower down to about half health using these Naga illusions as scouting tools. Sentries aplenty here, Purge. They are all over the place. They've got the map covered. They're setting the trap here. We'll see if the bounty hunter falls for it. So far, so good. But Garter will rotate in now. Tier 1 tower taking a lot of damage. Glyph has already been used, and it seems like CDEC will just sack it. They've got aggressive split pushing in the bottom lane, and they've even got someone farming the jungle here. XZ just in the Radiance jungle, killing some neutrals, so they'll be happy to let that one fall and get some space for their cores.
He's actually going Yules instead, of course. I forgot about that. No Orchid for the Queen of Pain, but once he gets that, he's actually going to be survivable, and that's one of the other reasons he didn't lane against the the silencer, because if he gets out of position slightly, if there's like a fissure, for example, and global silence at the same time, that's a dead Queen of Pain. So he definitely has to play safe until he does get that Orchid, and then has that global silence protection.
And looking at item pickups here, Silencer has the Vitality Booster. I'm curious if this is a Rod of Atos early on. Yeah, it should be.
He built it last game that he played Silencer. It's a very good Silencer item right away.
Yes.
If you go to passive farming after you build it, then I think it's really poor. But if you're being active, it's a really, really good item.
And I only bring that up because I have seen him just grab casual Vitality Booster, I think twice in games that I've cast personally. Where he'll go this and then transition into a 4-staff or something like that, just for some extra HP.
I would kind of like that. I think that's okay.
So we'll see.
It's like I said, if you don't use your Rod of Atos, then it ends up being really poor as an item. It's a very inexpensive item, and while it has got a kill on the bot lane.
Yeah, Quap just solo Naga. Yeah, Sonic Wave just from full to 0 in the blink of an eye there.
So while it's a very good item, right as you get it, as you go later and later, all of a sudden Rod of Atos is completely countered by BKB and Force Staff and so many other things. So it's kind of a bad item at that point.
Yeah. Up top, Fissure misses on Garter. 2 tracks up. A big rotation from CDEC. They want to fight this on to G, but Garter could get turned around on. Global Silence comes out.
Great mech.
Just barely keeps that Bounty Hunter alive. Q with a stolen Fissure blocks things out. VP will mech themselves, and no death, but CDEC definitely do not win the damage exchange there.
It looked really good for VP there. I thought for sure that Bounty would die, but Global was just a bit too late there, and he wasn't able to get his raise off quite so early as he wanted to.
This is a 4v5. Darkseer does have a TP, and he'll go ahead and use it now. So we've got a full 5-on-5 erupting at this top tier 1 tower.
Mech's on cooldown for both teams, actually. Actually, they blink in going on G. The ulti as well from FNG, but nobody in their way.
Vacuum wall. Oh, Virtus.Pro in some trouble here. Lil tries to reset it with his ultimate, but he can't save the Shadow Fiend. They end up trading 1 for 1. Rubik for SF, less than ideal for VP, and they could still be in some trouble. They go on to Garter, set up by Phobos. Great Echo Slam, secures the kill there, but now he's in no man's land. He'll try to TP out. Yules will interrupt it. And on the other side of the fight, his team is just going to leave him high and dry. They'll head for the hills and be satisfied with a 2 for 2. CDEC, they defend their tower. Can you imagine what that fight would have been like if the Quap had her ultimate? She used it to kill the Naga right before that fight started, so that's one core piece of damage.
Man, I didn't even notice that. I was like, wow, CDEC easily won that fight, and if they would have had that, it would have been even easier. Oh, yeah. And if anything, the Shadow Fiend really needed the mech there. Like, both teams went into that fight without mech, but the difference is that CDEC initiated, and VP had to respond to that. And because they didn't have the mech, Shadow Fiend got bursted down a little bit too easily, and Lil ended up using his song just a bit too late. But if he did have mech there, maybe they could have turned that around. They still did salvage some kills out of it, but I believe it was just on a Bounty Hunter. Yeah. And that was it. They got the Rubik as well, apparently. Maybe unless that was a previous fight.
No, they got the Rubik. It was a 2 for 2. Yeah.
Okay, so it went kind of bad. 2 supports basically for your core, and the Earthshaker as well. So not what you want.
Smoke from CDEC. They'll move right into the Radiant jungle, and G is sitting there waiting. He's got a mech. He has reinforcements nearby.
There's the blink.
Actually blinks forward. She does have the Sonic Wave this time. They're all grouped up. The dust will actually connect on the Bounty Hunter. That would have been the perfect Sonic Wave, but just didn't quite have the vision he needed to get it off.
Yeah, and Phobos also used the Fissure to farm the jungle camps there, so they weren't ready to chase that. Yeah. That would have been a little scary. So a little unfortunate for CDEC. They didn't get there a bit faster, but a really good read from them. Shadow Fiend just died. He's going to go get souls. He's not on the map. He's obviously in jungle, so good attempt at a kill, but didn't work.
Up top, Shiki's in some trouble. He'll TP out after the ensnare connects. Knows they don't have a way to interrupt it, but whoa, FNG's there. He'll interrupt that TP. Now the global comes out. They'll get the kill on Viper, and now this Earthshaker isolated. Whoa, what a Sonic Wave from Aggressive. Connects on all 4. He just barely survives. Can they finish him off here? Does utilize. They get the next kill on the Viper. Rubik will live. They get the kill on the Crystal Maiden. Aggressive trying to come back in. He can go in on the G here, maybe find a kill, but the Fissure just barely connects on him. G almost gets the raise, but just can't quite do it. A lot of close calls there, and we'll end with only 2 heroes in the grave.
That was so close, man. That Scream ult just put everybody from full to like 40%, that danger zone where if any other nuke comes through, it could just get a triple kill. So, man, VP is just skirting on the edges of victory or defeat here in all of these matches, because if CDEC just whomps them in a team fight, it's just going to be 2 towers maybe, lots of ganks, aggressive wards, and then it opens the map for the Bounty Hunter, who's just going to continue punishing them. So they have to be so careful in these fights, and luckily for them, they're just barely holding on.
Yeah, G is still farming very nicely, though. #1 on net worth by a very comfortable margin. About 2K, 2.5K up on the Queen of Pain, who's on the #2 slot. I'll go into SNY next to follow the mech. Great mid-game focused item here. Just gives him everything he needs, a little extra HP, some extra damage, movement speed. Nothing too crazy there. The Darkseer, though, he's the one that's picked up the Force Staff. An item you don't see Darkseers pick up that often. This is the nature of Surge, but it came in handy there. It actually saved the Quap. That's how she was able to scoot away from that last raise that would have finished her off.
I see. Yeah, and it's also a counter against the net, really. If you can't Surge, you can always Force Staff. If somebody's getting Chain Earthshaker, you can always get them out of there as well.
And the Atos, like you mentioned. Yeah. He had the Force Staff before Atos was completed, as Illidan just picks it up now. So he's already a step ahead. That's great.
Atos is just so stat efficient for Silencer. It really is everything he needs in terms of int and HP. That's pretty much it. You already have pretty good agility again, so you don't need attack speed. So as a whole, it's a great item. But you know, against a Quap who's got a Yules and now they've got a Force Staff, it just might be a little limited. I think the best use on it, though, is going to be against the Viper, actually. It's a hero that is very, very naturally slow. Only 335 movement speed with his treads here. And I assume he might build BKB next, but it might also be an SNY. If it's an SNY, it'll slightly counter the Atos. But if they can keep him at least away from the fight, it'll give them a big advantage, because that's a huge amount of CDEC damage.
Yeah. Well, CDEC continuing to stay grouped up here. They really want to fight if they can find the openings, but I like that they're not forcing it. Also a Medallion on the Darkseer, another item you don't see on Ishkifel too often.
That is actually a really weird one.
Interesting way to itemize,
Why doesn't he... Oh, they already have a mech. Did he make a mistake with his build here? He built the headdress here, and the Viper already has a mech, obviously.
Ooh, I guess he could just turn into a late game pipe, but oh, smoke from VP. It's about to get broken by Garter. Great positioning there from the Bounty Hunter.
They got him with the Atos.
Oh, the Atos cripple. His teammates are nearby. Mech comes in. Sonic Wave on 3. Try to reset from Lil. It's a 1-for-1 already. G will just TP home, and looks like a support for support trade.
That Naga support, man, that shows you right there how good it is, because that could have very easily been G dying and maybe a third as well, but because of the Song of the Siren, it allows them to trade 1-for-1. The Atos completely paying off versus the Bounty Hunter here. That's going to force him to have to get either a Force Staff or a Blink Dagger at some point. They do get a tower out of that fight, but I think considering what happened there, I think VP is very happy with that, since that was a super sick Quap ult.
Yeah, it's just been back-to-back Quap ults that have done so much damage from aggressive. And do you think this is an Aghanim's game? Is that the natural item progression after the Yules here, so that he can just keep ulting as much as possible?
I dare say every single Quap of this tournament has built an Ags at some point. Maybe not first, maybe not second, but almost every single one has built an Aghanim Scepter just for that low cooldown. Yeah. And it does increase the damage by a slight amount, a 60 damage bonus on average at level 2 at least. So
it helps.
It's a slight increase. It's like looks like a 10% damage increase kind of a thing.
Yeah, it increases a little more as you level it up. It's plus 85 at once you get level 3 on it.
Yeah, so it's a nice damage boost. It all around gives you a lot of stats which you need to potentially survive. So as a whole, really good item, and stacks pretty well with Octarine Core as well. You can heal from it, you know, lower that cooldown down to 30 seconds. It just makes it so that you can always be ready to gank at all times, and you don't have to worry about your cooldown, basically. 135 is a really, really long cooldown, and for a hero that has only moderate damage when you don't have your ultimate, it's something that you really want to have up as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So things quieting down a little bit, both teams going back to farming. And as I say that, VP actually start to group up towards the mid lane again. The Earthshaker getting close to his blink, 1,700 gold on him. I think VP may want to stay a little quiet. If they can make some space for DK Phobos just to get that blink, helps their team fight so much.
Yeah, it'll help a lot, actually. He's already had a really good impact, but you know, spending a lot more time just fissuring than Echo Slamming, really. And once they grab that, I think it'll be really good with him as well, because of the wall. There's always extra illusions, extra heroes kind of things going on in team fights, so he might be able to get a bit extra damage from that as well.
Yeah. Was the BKB next on Viper, so rather defensive build here, mech right into the BKB, no Aghanims, but now this Viper's nice and tanky, and again, a counter to the Rod of Atos cripple.
Yeah, and the other thing that's really good about the Earthshaker Blink Dagger is that VP basically entirely lacks initiation right now. Who else is going to go in first? It can't, like, they can do maybe a global silence with a fissure and try to catch up, but that's a bit of a weak initiation. If they can start off with DK Phobos jumping in and chain stunning an important hero like Quap or Darkseer, and then they can global silence after that, that's going to be a VP fight. And the reason they keep almost losing these fights is because CDEC goes in first. Yep. You never want to get initiated on it in almost all situations, especially if you have a bunch of squishy heroes like VP does. So once they get that blink, their team their team fight and their draft is going to come together much, much better. And he's only about 200 gold away, so pretty soon here VP's going to be in a good spot.
Well, CDEC will make good use of the space VP's giving them for now. They'll put that Medallion to good use as well. In the Dark Seer, they go right into the Roche pit, and this will be uncontested. Aegis of the Immortal will go their way. Aggressive also looking towards that Aghanim's. Has picked up the point booster already, only about 1,000 gold off. So who grabs the Aegis here? They're still deliberating amongst themselves. They give it to the Quap. Okay.
They will grab the Aegis. Smart move by CDEC.
He drops his stick. Well played.
One hero really underfarmed this game is actually the Bounty Hunter. He's only got an Urn, a Wand, and a Orb of Venom. And they actually have technically 3 mech carriers this game. Maybe a bit of weakness in their draft there, because Bounty as a whole is... People have been feeling that he's not very useful if he doesn't have better team fight, and they get that team fight by buying things like Vlad's mech or pipe, but this game he can't really do that. Yeah, and he also hasn't had the best game either. So
he's 1, 2, and 0. I mean, Bounty Hunter's usually one that wants to be grabbing as many assists as possible, and he's just the guy with the target on his back. Speaking of targets, Shiki gets jumped on mid. A lot of ultimates deployed here, but that's a 10-second BKB, and he'll live. Freezing Field as well as the Echo Slam now on cooldown. And also the reveal of the Blink Dagger on the Earthshaker.
Yeah, I feel like they should have stunned him a little bit longer, though. I don't know if Phobos checked to see that there was a BKB, but he did an enchant totem right as he got away, so I feel like he didn't quite time his cooldowns perfectly. Maybe he was being too greedy with a hit between or something, but because he got the BKB off, he escaped a little bit earlier than expected, and that was the Dunk and the Freezing Field. So Freezing Field, much lower cooldown now to 90 seconds, but Dunk cooldown's pretty big there.
Yeah, usually with those Blink Dagger reveals, you want to at least find a kill or catch someone off guard, but yeah. Less than ideal for them.
A 10-second BKB is almost a good trade. It's very close to being a good trade in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because that is it just starts the train. Pretty soon here it's going to be a 5-second, and then it won't really do a whole lot other than stop the first global silence from coming out.
Now, a couple other key item pickups here. The BKB completed on the Shadow Fiend gets delivered now on the Courier, and Lil going for a well-timed gem pickup. About 25 minutes in, they want to start getting some map control of their own and also have some more tools to deal with the Bounty Hunter. And with that, VP will 5-hero smoke behind their Tier 1 tower that CDEC are sieging. Looks like a team fight will erupt, but who's going to find the angle to initiate here? We've got 2 wrapping around the backside, G and Illidan. Maybe this is the fight.
And here they come. Going in on Shiki, taking the damage. He's taking a lot of damage actually from G. Ulti comes through, not as good as the previous fights on the global sound. Shiki is by himself, Mech is on cooldown. He goes down so easily. Aggressive as well, stunned, and the FNG ulti is back up already.
But remember, he's got the Aegis of the Immortal. The Queen of Pain's coming right back up, but huge wall vacuum. There's the reset from Lil. They'll try to set up onto aggressive here. G gonna channel it. Can they time this right? The self-Yules, beautifully done. They still get the Rubik in the mix. Aggressive still in a lot of trouble despite the beautiful Yules. It's just not enough. It'll be Virtus.Pro that take this team fight to even get the consolation kill on the Bounty Hunter as he tries to run away. It's a 1-for-4, and they also killed the Aegis in the mix. Great plays from Virtus.Pro, and that smoke from around the backside proved very successful.
Man, I bet they even got the tower denied too. The tower was glyphed up and perfect wraparound there. They just weren't in good position is what happened. The wraparound, what had happened was the Darkseer had to get segmented from the Viper there, so he didn't have the Solar Crest on him. This is all the money that Darkseer's been spent his money on, was this Force and the Solar Crest. He thought he was safe way back there, but as soon as the Shadow Fiend split him in the middle, he couldn't continue Solar Cresting the Viper, and the Viper just died so rapidly to the Shadow Fiend right click, because he's got -6 armor from Presence of the Dark Lord, and he maybe even got Riptided as well. Well, he did have his BKB up, but it looked like Shadow Fiend just hit him like 5-6 times. He just died. Like, he mech'd and all, but that was only about one hit. He just caught right through him, and once the Viper was dead, then it was just kind of a matter of time, because then they just had to kill the Quap, chain stunner a little bit, and he had a lot of trouble. So might see a kill here on the Darkseer. He gets spotted.
And he'll go down. That's an easy one. Illidan with the invisibility rune to start it off. CDEC are smoked up, though, and they are in hot pursuit. Right now, the Naga is not here, so this could be a 4v4, or it will be a 4v4, rather, as Garter goes in first to initiate Sonic Wave onto DK Bolas. The Solar Fissure finishes him off. Now FNG channels the ultimate, but it will get interrupted. Mac buying him some time. FNG still falls, but G very healthy with the BKB on. They turn onto aggressive, and now they want more. Q on the run. G instead goes for Garter, but they don't have their detection. Oh, yes, they do. Naga's here trying to isolate Shiki, but he'll just TP out. VP hoping to get a little bit more out of that, but they get pulled in a bunch of different directions, and CDEC are able to minimize their losses.
So still looking really good for VP there. They did lose DK Phobos and the Crystal Maiden, but they traded evenly, basically. That was an offlane and a support for a Queen of Pain and an offlane, and technically they carried this game. So Quap's having a lot of trouble. His KDA is pretty good, but I'm not really feeling his impact. He had a lot of really good ults those first couple fights, but either VP is just having better positioning, or the ults from Quap are just maybe not the best time. Yeah, so
that last one was, I think it just hit on Phobos, so that one in particular was a little lackluster.
And that was good because killing the Earthshaker was the hero that's guaranteeing the kill setups, because once he was dead and the CM was gone, they're out of disables basically, and everybody else just walked away. So it's definitely important to kill the Earthshaker there, but they need a bit more value out of their team fights. And I think part of the issue comes down to the draft, basically. The Darkseer built this headdress, and then he's like, oh, I need to build an item that helps the team. So he built the Solar Crest, which is a good item, but you know, if he's not able to use that correctly and Viper goes down, then all these early game items they bought to be a strong team fight lineup are just not working. So
they get their second Force Staff. Garter completes his.
That's good, but I don't know if that's the item that's the solution. Maybe something would be better. Like they're getting all these movement items, but they need to kill SF. Like, how do you kill SF with Force Staffs?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this in the draft. Around 30-40 minutes, you'll start to feel CDEC just lacking that late game presence, and G has just consistently been #1 at the net worth chart by a big bump. Now about 50% up on the Queen of Pain, though. We'll hold that thought as they find Garter. Lil still has the gem and Snare to get things started. Force Staff not going to save him. Fissure will lock him in place, and Garter will fall. Takes a totem as Phobos actually secures that one. He's got, looks like a Yule's coming out.
If he would have forced before he went invis, he would have lived there for sure. Because, well, Lil would have had the Song of the Siren for that, but that's a pretty good trade if you do force him to do that. So, small mistake there from the Bounty Hunter. He didn't have to die, but you know, sometimes that reaction time is tough, and he didn't necessarily expect the gem. So, Lil sacrificing there. Doesn't even have Medallion yet, but it should be finished right about now. And flying that out. So, Nagasarian, it's actually pretty disgusting how few items you can have on this hero and still be strong to your team.
Yes, that's one of the reasons she's a top tier support right now. We see more item progression as Illidan, who's had a pretty solid game thus far. 4-1-5, gets his sight device, but whoa, XZ takes a dunk to the face, just barely lives, compliments of that mech, but it's not enough. Darkseer falls, now Shiki will BKB TP. They almost got him. Wow, that net was mid-air as he TP'd out. That was pretty close.
Yeah, so very close escape there from the Viper.
And another tower denied.
Yeah, and we see the debut of the Sheep on Silencer, the great transition. It's a much better version of the Rod of Atos, essentially.
Yeah.
You get the guaranteed 3.5-second Hex, which means they have limited movement, but most importantly,
amazing stats.
They're pretty much stunned. And very good stats, yeah. 35 int, which is actually only 5 better than the Rod of Atos if you think about it. But it also has 190 HP, so it's about half the HP of the Rod, and the Disable is so much better.
And the regen definitely helps. Let Silencer just
good point.
Spam those glaives to his heart's content. So they just don't seem to have an answer for G, though, Purge. He should have a Scotty coming out pretty darn soon here. He's got the Orb of Venom and the first Ultimate Orb with 2,400 gold in the bank. So another successful fight, and he's going to be lobbing snowballs instead of souls.
Will they grab CDEC or aggressive here? Oh, Fissure's going to catch him over there looking for the enchant. He does land it.
Got him.
That was almost messed up, but they got it.
Yeah. They did lose their courier, though, in the mix. A bit unfortunate. It was just the Medallion. Orb of Venom got picked off by the Bounty Hunter. It looks like, yeah, Garter just heading back off his successful kill. Minor victory for CDEC, but...
I mean, I'd be really happy. It was like, that's that jerk that killed me earlier with his gem.
Yeah,
that's pretty fine now.
A little bit of vengeance. G will put some damage into this Tier 1 tower down bottom. CDEC have a glyph, but they will not come in to make a defense. They'll just let it fall, and could end up being good timing for VP. It looks like Roche right around the corner, just about 5 to 10 seconds before he comes up, and they may just pass by right as he respawns. G will continue on pushing, though, putting some pressure onto this Tier 2, hoping to bait a reaction here out of CDEC.
And Lil in position to cast the song. If anybody shows up, then they can get everyone on their team in position and take the really easy team fight. Level 3 global silence up. That's 6 seconds of silence. That's going to hit some of these heroes really hard. Darkseer, Rubik, Bounty Hunter, they don't have solutions versus this. If it gets casted, they're just going to have to live with it.
And now Silencer moving into, I can only assume is a Shiva's Guard. He's got the plate mail, doubling his armor, so
yeah.
All of a sudden he's kind of beefy, much less susceptible to those auto attacks. Roche comes up as VP rotate through, and this appears to be an uncontested Roche. Things starting to fall apart for CDEC here, Purge.
Yeah, I just don't think they have a solution versus either of these cores. I think they could have dealt with the Silencer maybe, but the Shadow Fiend is just going to become invulnerable soon. He'll finish the Scotty, and immediately after he's going to build Butterfly. And then where's the physical damage coming from CDEC? They have like support Bounty, support Rubik. Their offlane was a Darkseer, and he went Solar Crest and BKB afterwards. and then it's a Viper, and Viper's going to have to go AC here to deal with the minus armor of Shadow Fiend. They needed like a right-click carry core, and I think the Quap didn't fit into their draft at all. Maybe they got outdrafted here, maybe they got put into lane setups that they didn't really want, but you know, the things aren't really coming together here, and CDEC is not looking like they're going to take this game, to be honest.
Yeah, but it seemed like they were really banking on this bounty hunter being able to achieve a lot more. And at first, it seemed like, uh-oh, this could be a scary bounty hunter game. But after that, VP just tightened up, and we talked about FNG's positioning, maybe too conservative at points, but you'd rather be on that end of the spectrum than the other, where the bounty hunter is getting some undue farm. And
because he sacrificed and he sat behind mid and bought a lot of sentry wards and barely farmed the jungle, you have a useless bounty hunter in the game. It's a level 11 bounty hunter with a 4-staff, and yeah, sure, if you get kills, Track is amazing, but he's not going to get any kills.
Yeah, like, he's still only been involved in 3 of the team's 11 kills. Queen of Pain, I heard that ult, but just for neutrals, okay.
Yeah. So that seems to be the story of Bounty Hunter this tournament. This is probably the second game now where Bounty basically does nothing, and if you don't get anything out of it, the hero is terrible, basically, is what it seems like.
Definitely the crux of the hero. He's one that when he's good, he looks completely broken and ridiculous, and when he can't get much done, he looks the complete opposite.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Well, we're seeing that one side of the spectrum here this game, that's for sure.
Yeah, we really are. So, and at this point, VP actually feels very comfortable farming on 4-staff. Oh, and you'll see disables the haste with that. He might actually go down. There's Curse the Sound, and that is a dead hero.
Definitely going down. Even just that totem alone took like half of his HP.
The old 500 damage physical hit.
Yeah.
That's actually half his HP. It's a bad sign. But dispels the haste rune there, and then it's a very, very easy kill. Even the Naga Siren, let's see how she's doing. 1,600 gold. I don't know if she'll make Solar Crest. Probably will make Solar Crest. I feel like they're in a good enough position with their carry potential that he doesn't have to go for the Radiance build. Yeah. And putting a Solar Crest on a Shadow Fiend makes him actually, like, he just won't die. It's not possible for G to be threatened here.
I mean, he's just got so many stats now. 2,600 HP on Agi Treads. He's got the Aegis of the Immortal and another 3,000 gold just sitting in that saving account. They'll go for the tier 2 tower in the mid lane, all the while some split pushing from CDEC. I think VP are going high ground here, Purge. They want to make use of this Aegis. They've got a good minute and a half left, or 2 minutes left on this thing, so they're going to try and make do. There's that Solar Crest on the Naga, goes right onto G. They force out the Glyph. The first ult from Queen of Pain really just tickles G and Illidan. They'll mech through it and continue lobbing damage into this tower.
All right, so mech's on cooldown for about 1 minute, so this is their chance to go in, and they have to do it sometime soon, but look at that, Scotty's slow and Cheeky. They're trading hits, actually. They both have big evasion. There's the lift, throws him back, Fissure as well, but G still doesn't even care. He is not phased at all. Look at all the damage. Mech pop for Viper now. CDEC no advantage in there. They've got Sonic Wave in about 15 seconds.
No Glyph either. G is just going to back out. Great positioning from Virtus.Pro in that fight. You put G in the front line, and CDEC have no choice but to go for the Shadow Fiend. They can't really just run through him to find an initiation. And even though no one dies, VP should be very happy with that trade there. Or not a trade, just a free tier 3 tower.
I'm a little surprised they didn't commit to the racks personally. I guess, all right, their waves are in a kind of bad place. They would have to potentially lose tower damage. They would take tower damage of their own if they went for a racks there, but maybe they're just saying, you know what, we're so far ahead right now, you guys have no way to deal with our cores. If we just back up, collect about 2,000 gold in Shadow Fiend, he's got a Butterfly, and then he's going to have Butterfly with Solar Crest. That's like 230-ish% evasion items, and they have no solution against that. The Viper just now finishing his AC, and they said, like, you know, we could go high ground, we have a really good chance of taking racks, but we do not want to throw this game. We want 3 points against you guys, and we're going to guarantee that we win this game that we should. So they're doing the safe play. All they have to do, downside is that they might not have Aegis by the time they get back there, so they might have to worry about that, but... And he actually pops a salve and he's running back mid. I think they're trying to hurry here and get back to mid.
They've got
before
less than a minute, 45 seconds before the Aegis despawns. I don't think they'll make it to the barracks to capitalize here.
I mean, they might as well give up and go for the farm. It seems like if they could have time to pick up the Butterfly, this move would be worth it, but...
I mean, I don't think they necessarily need the Aegis to take a good fight here and end up breaking the high ground. Certainly it helps, but they can just take a straight-up fight if they get the right initiation. They've got all their ultimates available. CDEC will have their Sonic Wave up in about 15. Aggressive used it to clear creeps. Oh no, this could pose a really scary timing window here. VP will just go right in. I don't think they're aware of the cooldown, but they poke Shiki straight away. 4-staff and Glimmer Cape to keep him alive. Now they'll lose their ranged barracks, and the melee under assault. Still with G in the front lines. Aegis goes down. The regen rune will get canceled straight away, but Now telekinesis.
big dunk on 2.
Phobos comes in to start this fight off. BKB used by XZ, but he doesn't know what to do. He's just running in circles. The Rubik falls first. Now CDEC in some trouble. No buyback available on the Rubik. G with a Requiem will connect on quite a few. They're going on to aggressive. Pops the ulti after a beautiful vacuum in, but now they'll turn on to XC. There's the ult from FNG. Gets the kill on the Darkseer, and Phobos reinitiates to finish off the Viper. Song of the Siren from Lil just to break things up, but it's a 3-0 with VP once again coming out on top.
And they still didn't lose the Aegis. Oh, it's gone now, actually.
It despawned in the middle of that fight.
Ooh, that was very, very close then. Good thing they used the song.
attack.
Ooh, might see a solo kill from DK Phobos.
Whoa.
It's like, oh wait, I think I can kill that guy. And then he jumps back in. Are they staying? 2 heroes still here. They're going to try to grab the bounty as well. There's
him.
the hit, and that's a dead bounty hunter.
Queen of Pain buys back for this. She wants vengeance.
Oh, the blink.
Aggressive is angry.
He's going to have Frostbite, though. This is a little dangerous for Queen of Pain. They could potentially outplay him here. There's the net. Oh, big ult catching 2. Lil goes down. FNG using another Frostbite. Aggressive solo. Will he blink aggressively? This is so dangerous for him. He goes forward, grabs FNG, but will they get the return kill? DK Phobos is so low. He's also potentially going to die. No blink for 6. He does get killed by the fissure. So ultimately, VP does get outplayed. There are 3 deaths.
Here, it's not over yet. Purgy wants aggressive. Hits him with the Atos. Hits him with the sheep, and it's a dieback for the Queen of Pain. The gem does get recovered, though, by Q. That's the one victory for CDEC there, but it comes at a big cost. Quap now out of the game for a minute and a half.
And they got an Alpha Wolf here doing a lot of damage to the tower. Gets low. Wolf dies. Now the chase looking for the Viper ulti on top of Illidan. Here it comes. Getting slowed. He doesn't have a BKB. He's got an AC. He's right-clicking. Can he get the Darkseer? He doesn't. And VP throwing away a lot of advantage the last couple of minutes. Like, that turned from a 4-0 into a 6-4. Not very good. Like, they got a couple extra. Yeah, there was a dieback out of the Quap, but he got 3 kills out of it.
Just look at that last kill alone. That is a 3K net worth swing just for killing the Silencer.
He was godlike. He was beyond godlike that right when he died.
That's a huge streak.
That was a big mistake for VP there. I mean, I loved the Quap kill when he jumped back in and the bounty kill. Those were great, but they couldn't quite get disengaged afterwards due to the Quap chasing them. They maybe could have escaped, but they decided to stick around and mess with them a bit, and it ended up not being good.
So risky from CDEC, though. Aggressive almost died to the Crystal Maiden. Just one little misplay there, and he would have had a dieback, and that would have been a completely different string of events. So,
but the outplay happened for once. VP, not the ones getting the edge over CDEC, and that was only a ranged barracks.
Yeah, you're right.
Still looking really good for VP. They have a huge 12K gold advantage at this point in the game. That's quite a bit. Experience is matching that.
And now G gets a full Satanic. So you thought he was hard to kill before. Now he has yet another reset tool with that Unholy Rage.
I thought he was going to go for a Butterfly build instead to make the Viper essentially worthless against him, but I guess he already does have some evasion with the Solar Crest. It's a bit safer to say, oh, if I'm missing 60% of my HP due to your burst lineup, I can just heal up afterwards. And I guess it's a bit safer. So
yeah,
that's probably the thought reasoning behind it for Shadow Fiend.
Yeah. And even though CDEC make a good hold there, it still doesn't solve any of the problems that we brought up once we're in this late game now. 40 minutes in, they just don't have the tools to do the damage when VP is not overcommitting. We'll see Crystal Maiden, it looks like, moving into potentially a pipe. I think most likely with that Hooded Defiance.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I thought for sure it'd be Glimmer Cape, but
yeah, me too.
Yeah, Hooded Defiance likely into pipe, and that'll stop a lot of Viper's damage as well as Quaps as well. So they're looking to take a fight. There's smoke. Rubik gonna force forward. He lifts him up. There's a Global Silence Fissure as well. That should be a dead Rubik. No, he gets hexed. Illidan in place.
Yeah, well, FG, he goes in brave, pops the ult, it gets the kill on Rubik. We'll have to throw away his life to get it. The gem's on the ground as G goes in. A lot of damage, but can't quite get the kill on XZ. Meanwhile, on the other side of the fight, Sonic Wave comes from Queen of Pain, but Lil resets things. It's a 1 for 3, and now CDEC in a lot of trouble. They set up for the dunk, and it's a full 5-man wipe. It's all of CDEC in the grave, and that's it. GG's call.
They're not feeling that game at all, but man, that song into ulti from Shadow Fiend there has been practiced, and they cleaned up, and the dunk as well, of course.
Wow.
VP it felt like a super outdraft, and CDEC just wasn't on the same page there, building a headdress on a Darkseer. I haven't seen that at least a year or two. Used to happen fairly often, but you can't make those kind of mistakes here at TI5. Maybe 2-3 years ago that would be okay, but Dota has developed too far. Lil again going for the 4 Mango double gem rush.
Classic
Lil.